help is when I'm ocean waves.
Tonight on Nova Legends podcast, I have South Lakes coach Mike Desmond, whose Seahawks are in the state semifinals for the third straight year, coach?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Three. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, third straight year. Coach, thanks for doing this. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. Well, you have, when you coach at South Lakes, there's nothing new about having lots of great players, lots of success. But when you're in the Final Four, when you have a talent level, it's almost expected. Do you enjoy that part of coaching South Lakes, and that you're going to get great athletes, but the expectation is you're supposed to be here at the end of the season?
I mean, you have to appreciate it for what it is. It's got its pros and its cons, right? And there's a lot of ghosts. There's a lot of ghosts in that gym, and sometimes the community. I thought last year, well, we ended up doing very well. I thought early on when we were struggling, people were like, oh my gosh, sometimes the expectation's a lot, and that makes it sometimes hard to do the things you're supposed to do, but sometimes it makes it also that much more special at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, Coach, what's the football coach's name at South Lakes that you introduced me to?
My man, Jason Hescock. Yeah.
Jason Hescock did a tremendous job. And I felt like even though he did a tremendous job, there's always pressure on you. Even when you do great, people just want more. Of course you're doing great. You got all those great athletes out there.
It's not that easy. It's not that easy. You can ask probably any coach in any sport who's had really good teams or really bad teams. You don't just roll the ball out there and play. And, I think sometimes some of the teams in all sports make really difficult things look easy. So the expectations of, oh, it's going to be that way every time, it's a little difficult sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Coach Hescock had a great season. Can't wait to see what they do this year. But let's get back to basketball. So in the state quarterfinals, you hosted Potomac, a very talented, athletic Potomac team, well coached. Didn't get a chance to see the game, but I understand it was a very lively game, lively matchup. The result was in doubt until the fourth quarter. You guys finally were able to pull ahead a bit and submit the win. What were your thoughts about the game?
I thought Anthony's kids were really ready to go, and they got in us. And it was a very physical game. How about that? It was extremely physical, and we had a good start. We jumped on them early, and they wouldn't go away. And I think there were a couple times that if we could have got one more stop or had a cleaner possession, we could have maybe put them away. But those kids are tough. We heard all weekend, just like I've heard all week since that game, that the team you're playing is tougher, they're meaner, they're going to beat you, they're going to upset you, blah blah blah. But that game was down to the wire, and we probably needed that. And I think there was it was a physical game. There was no flow to the game either. Both teams were being aggressive, and I think there was 51 or 52 fouls called. So people were getting after it that night.
Yeah. Well, it was great. It was a great win, Coach, and you guys advanced to the state semifinals, and you got Hayfield for I believe, the third straight year.
Yep.
So you guys lost to Hayfield the last 2 years in this game. This year, you beat them in the regular season at a game I attended very early in the season. It was a very fun game to watch. Lots of great basketball being played. Who has a mental advantage? Them beating you the last 2 years with different kids. Are you beating them this year with the kids that'll be on the floor tomorrow night?
I think it was probably beneficial to both Los's crew and mine to play each other already once. So even though that feels like forever ago, and both teams have evolved and both teams have changed tremendously, and both teams are playing good basketball. It's good just to see them, and probably he feels the same way. It's good to see us live. I don't know. I mean, I've heard a lot of things from people, again, that, they're going to beat us. They're going to knock us out. Where's the pressure lie, right? People say, oh, South Lakes all year. Well, maybe there's some pressure on us, but there's probably equal or more pressure on that group of kids, because You don't want to be the Hayfield team that doesn't get it done. You don't want to be the Hayfield team that South Lakes finally, beats in a playoff situation. So I don't know mentally if there's an advantage looking at it from either team's point of view. But there's talk. There's been a lot of talk about who's going to win, and I don't think there's pressure on us at all. We're going to play, and if we're good enough, we're good enough, and if we're not, we're not. But
Yeah.
we wouldn't want it any other way. We were excited to beat Potomac, but when we heard it was Hayfield, the kids want that game. They want that game, and it's because let's say a miracle happens, okay, and somehow we were to win 2 games in a row at this point, and there'd be an asterisk in our kids' minds, because they never beat Hayfield in a playoff game.
Yeah.
So, the Ric Flair, to be the man, you got to beat the man. We're generally excited because that's a great program. We respect them, but let's go find out. Let's get tested again. And again, you're either good enough or you're not. So,
Yeah. I mean, do you like Carlos? Do you want to see him cry? Do you want to beat him and make him cry after the game?
look, I have nothing but love for that guy. I respect the guy. He's been tremendous to me as a colleague of sorts, and I don't really hate any coach, to be honest with you.
Just kidding. I love Carlos. So when you look at your team now compared to when you beat Hayfield, pretty soundly in the first game, in the second half, you guys pulled away. Are you guys a much different team now? My recollection is you were still working to get your chemistry together at the time. And when I've seen you the last few times, and I missed the Yorktown game, and I know it was a bit of a struggle. And I guess Potomac wasn't easy, but I feel like you guys are playing much better now than you were at the beginning of the year. But how do you feel?
I mean, I would say that's safe to say. I think everyone's playing better now, or they wouldn't be here still, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I think it takes time. It takes time when just getting guys to understand what's best for us and to play in a style that's best for us. And I would say since the calendar flipped, we've been playing pretty well.
Yeah. So when you look at the Hayfield team, very balanced team, not a huge team. They have one legitimate big guy. They have a guy who comes off the bench, does a good job, but they're not a huge team. Which other players worries you the most? Which of the other players are the most dangerous?
Well, I mean, the kids with experience, right? The Cage kid, the McFarland kid, Owen. I pronounce his last name wrong all the time. Potten.
I think it's Pottenberg. I think it's Pottenberg.
Yeah. So I mean, they have guys with experience, who, when you look at Hayfield and people are like, "Oh my God, Hayfield's going to be bad this year." We knew in December, no, they're not. They're just learning how to step into those huge shoes that were left behind. And those guys I just mentioned, they started playing Hayfield basketball and getting confidence. And I think he has, his wild card, the sophomore card, the lefty Phoenix. And I think sometimes he probably drives Los crazy with his shot selection, but the kid can go get a shot anytime he wants. And he's quick. So coming off the bench to have a kid like that, you don't know, probably Los probably doesn't know, just like we don't know what version of the kid's going to show up. So, Ramirez, kind of their main feature guy. He does a little bit of everything. He's had a tremendous year. So they have about 7 dudes, and the kid off the bench, the point guard, the Payne kid, he's tough. He does a great job keeping them in their flow and their style. But the kid off the bench, Burton, I think, number 5,
Burton,
he just comes in and fights.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's Hayfield. They're tough. They have guys that can make plays, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. So I probably missed somebody's name somewhere, but they're not what they are without those guys progressing throughout the year, getting better and better and better.
Yeah. Well, on your team, you can usually count on Jordan Scott to come up big in the big games. He's like that. He'll quietly score 20 points and usually more in a game like this. what else are you looking for from your team yesterday? I really think you've gotten a lot of weapons. Your backcourt with Saul Vita and Brian Kennedy is sneaky good. They're great defenders. They're quick. They can create. And I really think Tyler is. I always forget his last name. What's Tyler's last name?
Andre.
Andre's really become a dependable three-point shooter and a kind of a fighter for you guys. I know that the kid Toshi's been coming off the bench for you. Aiden does what he does. Shunky is a great athlete for you. I really feel like in addition to Jordan, you're liable to get big efforts off a lot of your players.
I mean, the nice thing about us is that when Jordan's consistent, but it's always two other guys, and which two other guys is that going to be? On Tuesday, Tyler and Brian had really great nights to addition to what Jordan was doing. And then you go back the district in the region tournament, Toshi came off the bench and made great plays and quietly got a couple double-digit games in there. Merrick Realstone had a really nice couple games here and there in the regional tournament. So there's just guys that when they got their opportunity, they don't have to do a lot, just play. Just play your game, and whatever presents itself to you, take advantage of it, especially since, Jordan gets all the attention. Well, we got other guys that can hoop, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a lot of guys that can hoop. So, the other day, your Madison, who you guys have done battle with all year, was up big against Patriot, and before losing pretty soundly in the fourth quarter. Did that surprise you that Madison took a big lead against Patriot?
No, I mean, they're hard to prepare for. And if you don't play them on a normal schedule, they're just hard to prepare for. And you're not just guarding individuals, you're guarding such a great offensive system. And then they're going to be stingy. They're going to sit in the zone. And if you're not making outside shots, or you're not getting great high-low looks or low-high looks, they're going to hang around. And if they're shooting the ball like I guess they shot pretty well the other night, they can get you. So it didn't surprise me that it was close. Well, I mean, all 4 games Tuesday were good games.
Yeah, it's true. Have you thought at all? I mean, I know you're taking one game at a time, but when you look at Oscar Smith and Patriot, you have any insight as to who will win that game?
I don't. And I'm clearly more familiar with Sherman's guys because of we've played them. We hear about them all the time. We know their names, and I think Tays jumped his game up to an unbelievable level the second half of the year. Vic can be a matchup problem. Hopkins is tough. I don't even try to say Abe's last name because I butcher it.
Abe Aleem.
Yeah, the Wilcox kid, and I always forget the little the guard off the bench. And again, I'm gonna say it, and people are gonna tell me I'm awful. The white kid. Sorry, don't know his name. But I'm familiar with them. I don't know much about Oscar Smith, and to be honest with you, Patriot Oscar Smith, I'm not looking. I will look if we're fortunate enough to get by Los's crew tomorrow night. Then I'll really start looking, but I don't really give it much mind right now.
Yeah. Well, I believe the last time South Lakes has gotten to the final was 2003, I believe. And they had Doug McLaughlin-Williams. They had the Lansdowne twin, Ant and David, Joe Bleich. They had a really good team. I'm freezing on some of the names.
Was Bo Taylor on that team?
But Bo wasn't a team. Bo wasn't a team. He was a fighter on the team. That's right.
And was it Wagner, mate? They guard Wagner, and I think Holmes was the point guard.
Chris Holmes on the team. Yes, good call.
Ryan Scott was just the kid, but he was there.
He was on the team. Yes, I believe that's the last team from South Lakes on the boys' side to make the final. They lost big to a really nice Highland Springs team in the great George Lancaster that day. Christy Winters won a state championship with the girls at South Lakes, and I believe '86. But the boys had never won a state champion. They probably had more Division I players than any other. South Lakes has had more Division I players than any other school in Northern Virginia, maybe besides Potomac, but probably more than Potomac. What do you think it mean to South Lakes to be back in the state final?
I think the community would be ecstatic, you know. I think anytime. I mean, and it's like you hear all the time about, you know, South Lakes is the powerhouse, blah blah blah. That's the one thing missing off the boys basketball resume. So that's definitely always in the back of the mind of probably every kid, every coach who's ever been a head coach or an assistant coach, the community. But you know, you look at all those great teams and great players over the last, you know, 40 years or whatever it's been. It's not easy. It's
Yeah.
just not easy. So it'd be great. It'd be fantastic. But we got all we got right now in our mind is Hayfield.
Yeah. Last question. Against Potomac, were you able to stop white guy number 4?
No, he kicked our ass in the third quarter.
How many did he have?
I think he had 13 or 12 in the third quarter alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he got us. He got
Yeah.
us.
Did you ever figure out his name?
Yeah. Maverick, Pete Mitchell. Pete Mitchell.
Pete Mitchell. Yeah. Well,
So
Pete.
yeah, and he's
Well,
not
Pete.
even white. He's not even white. He's like half Asian. So yeah, I
Yeah.
was really all over the PC. Let's you know ban Coach Desmond or cancel Coach Des. But I mean, come on, Pete Mitchell.
Yeah. Coach, if that's all of all the things you've done in your life, if that's the thing that gets you banned, that would be shocked. You know, of all the things.
You're not wrong, man.
So, all right, Coach. Well, look, this has been great. Thanks for always taking time. You know, best of luck, South Lakes. You guys have a great program. Did an amazing job as always. Can't wait to see the game. Two of my good buddies, good friends, Coach Carlos and Coach Mike. Someone's going to be crying on Friday. As Ray Charles used to say, it's crying time. But I wish both of you luck, and I can't wait to the game.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Mike. I'll see you there. All right, buddy. Take care.